A country over 163 millions of peoples call home, and a language over 215 millions of peoples speak as a first language. The country that hosts the most densely populated capital city of this world, and with the longest uninterrupted virgin beach that exists in this world. Okay, these were some facts about Bangladesh and the Bengali language. Now let us know about the history of the Bangladesh, the ancient Bengali lands, and the Bengali ethnicity. Let's talk about the Bengali ethnicity first. In the history of Bengali ethnicity, the arrival of the Aryan peoples is marked as a milestone. The Aryans who lived at the southern part of the Ural Mountain. That's how the Bengali ethnicity is divided into two parts. One is the pre-Aryan part and second is the Aryan part. The pre-Aryan group of Bengali ethnicity is consisted of four subgroups named as the Negrito, the Australoids or the Ostrix, the Dravidians and the Mongoloids. Let us know about them first. The Negrito peoples are believed to be the first racial group that arrived in this land space of Indian subcontinent along with the land space of Bangladesh. And they arrived in a time period of which there is no written records. So we can mark them as the primitive peoples of this land. After them, the Australoids or the Ostrix arrived here. It is about 5,000 years back from today. And the majority part of the Bengali ethnicity is made up of the Ostrich bloodline. These peoples came from the region of Indochine. Through the southern part of India named Assam, they entered the land space of Bangladesh. Following them, the Dravidian peoples have arrived in this land space. They were believed to be simultaneous or sometimes later than the Ostrich peoples to arrive here. They fused together with the Ostrich peoples, formed the Dravid Ostrich group that later on goes to mix up with the Aryan peoples to form the Bengali ethnicity that we belong today. The majority portion of the Bengali ethnicity is made up of these three groups of peoples, and that brings us to the fourth group of pre-Aryan part of Bengali ethnicity, the Mongoloid peoples. They arrived after the Aryan peoples, but somehow they managed a spot in the pre-Aryan part. They were not of the Aryan peoples, and that's why their contribution in the Bengali bloodline is insignificant. And they are related to some tribal groups that we know today as the Garo, the Koch, the Chakma and the Tripura. These groups are the successors of the Mongoloid peoples. And now comes the Aryan part of Bengali ethnicity. As I have mentioned earlier, the Aryans are originated to the Central Asia and Iran. They lived in the southern part of the Ural Mountains, and they arrived here in the Indian subcontinent in the year 200 BCE, and specifically in the Bangladeshi land space they entered around the year 100 CE. The religion of these Aryan peoples is the Sanatan that we mostly know as the Hindu Dharma. Their religious script was the Veda. And this group of peoples, for a time period of 1500 years, they practiced imitation, accepting, denying and incorporation from different cultures, and different group of peoples have formed the Bengali ethnicity. Until the year 800 CE, when the Semitic Arabians have arrived here for the purpose of business, trading and the spread of Islam, the religion of the majority portion of this ethnicity was Sanatan, or the Hindu religion. And the year 800 CE is marked as a milestone because later on this timeline will give the whole Indian subcontinent a new bunch of history and a new plot line. Anthropologically, the peoples of Bangladesh or Bengali ethnicity belongs to the Proto-Australoid group of humans. That was the short history of Bengali ethnicity. Now we can show some interest on the ancient Bengali lands. And here we are to start the second part of this video, ancient Bengali lands. And along with the topic of ancient lands, another simultaneous topic comes forth as the rulers or the monarchs of these lands. The monarchy or the ruling of kings or his family started in the Indian subcontinent with an interesting story. We have all heard about the great Alexander III, or mostly known as Alexander the Great. He was the son of King Philips of Macedon, Greek. And along with this identity, he was famous for another reason. He was direct student of the great Greek philosopher Aristotle. And he was also famous for his great conquest of the horizon. He was a great conqueror and he rose onto power in the year 335 BCE, and he invaded the Indian subcontinent in the year 327 BCE. And this event have started a whole new impact of Greek Aryans in this Indian subcontinent. But he didn't live a long life, as we know. He died in the year 325 BCE at Babylon, a city of Mesopotamia, while his commander Seleucus was in command in the Indian subcontinent. And now comes the reason for which I have stretched this story. The first independent emperor of this very own Indian subcontinent, Chandragupta Maurya, who founded the Mauryan family and started a new history of this Indian subcontinent. He defeated the commander of Alexander the Great, who was in command in this Indian subcontinent, and hushed the Greek forces out of this continent. Chandragupta Maurya was the first ever independent ruler who was very own to this subcontinent. And he founded the Mauryan family, who ruled this region from the year 321 BCE to roughly 185 BCE. An important thing to note is that the events that I am going to mention later on in this video, they were not exclusive, and you might find some of the events and the timelines overlapping with one another. And this is what happens in the history. It is an usual part. So this was the plot line of how monarchy started in this Indian subcontinent along with the Bangladeshi land space. Since then, a lot of families or dynasties have ruled this region. I am not going to briefly explain this today, but let me name some of them for you. The Mauryan age, the first ever dynasty, ruled from the year 321 BCE to 185 BCE. Then comes the Gupta family, the golden age of the subcontinent. They ruled here from the year 320 CE to 550 CE. And following them comes the post-Gupta age along with the Pal dynasty, who have ruled from the year 750 to 1162. And then comes the last dynasty of this Indian subcontinent, the Sena dynasty, who have ruled from the year 1098 CE to 1204 CE until the year when Ikhtiar Uddin Muhammad bin Bakhtiar Khulji invaded some part of this Indian subcontinent. I will continue this topic in another video. That's all for today. Hope to see you in the next video.